The notification lit up Evan's phone at 9:47 a.m. on Christmas Eve morning. High-value assignment available. $5,000, 6 hours. Accept? He stared at the screen. $5,000, 6 hours of work on Christmas Eve. Around him, his tiny apartment told the story his bank account couldn't hide. Eviction notice on the kitchen counter, 3 months overdue. Utility shutoff warning taped to the fridge. Empty Christmas stockings hanging from a nail in the wall because he couldn't afford a mantle, couldn't afford the house that would have a mantle, couldn't afford anything except the desperate hope that somehow he'd figure this out before his kids noticed how badly he was failing. "Daddy, will Santa come to Grandma's house?" Maya asked from the floor where she and her little brother Lucas were coloring. 7 years old, still believed in Santa, still believed her father could make miracles happen. "Yes, baby," Evan said, his voice steady even though his hands weren't. "Santa knows where you'll be. Grandma's kept cookies ready and everything." "But why can't we have Christmas here, with you?" Lucas, 5 years old, crayon in hand, looked up with eyes that saw too much for a kindergartner. "Because Daddy's broke. Because the rent's 3 months late. Because the electricity might get shut off tomorrow. Because Santa's not real and miracles cost money I don't have." "Because Daddy has to work tonight," Evan said instead. "But I'll call you, and tomorrow morning we'll open presents together, I promise." He looked back at his phone, at the notification, at $5,000 that would solve everything: rent, utilities, presents, groceries, breathing room. He clicked the details, read the description. Provide companionship for private dinner, Christmas Eve, 6 p.m. to midnight. Formal attire required. Location provided upon acceptance. NDA contract must be signed before arrival. Breach of contract will result in legal action. No physical contact, no personal questions. Conversational presence only. Companionship? Someone was paying $5,000 for company on Christmas Eve. Evan felt something twist in his chest. Pity, disgust, desperation, curiosity. Who did this? Who had enough money to pay someone $5,000 to sit through dinner, but not enough, what? Love? Family? Connection? And more importantly, did it matter? $5,000 was $5,000. He clicked accept. 3 hours later, he stood in his mother's doorway, watching Maya and Lucas run inside, already being swept up by their grandmother and aunts. Cousins, warmth, noise, love. "You sure about this, mijo?" His mother, Rosa, 62, still strong despite everything life had thrown at her, touched his face gently. "Working Christmas Eve? The babies." "I know, Ma, I know, but it's good money, really good money. Enough to catch up on rent, enough to fix things. I have to." Rosa studied him, then nodded. "Then go. We'll take care of them. But Evan, don't lose yourself chasing money. Your babies need their father more than they need presents." "I know," Evan said again, but he left anyway, because knowing and doing were different things, and right now he needed to do whatever it took to survive. The address led him to a mansion in the mountains, 2 hours outside the city, isolated, enormous, lit up like something from a magazine, every window glowing against the darkening Christmas Eve sky. He parked his beat-up truck next to the circular driveway, feeling suddenly, painfully aware of how out of place he was. The borrowed suit he'd gotten from Goodwill didn't fit quite right. The tie was crooked. He'd kept his yellow work jacket in the truck, his identity, his reality. But standing here in this costume, he felt like a fraud. The door opened before he could knock. A man in a butler's uniform, an actual butler, gestured inside without smiling. "Mr. Torres, Ms. Ashfield is waiting in the dining room. Follow me. Do not deviate from the path. Do not touch anything. Do not ask questions." Evan followed, through hallways that felt like museums. past rooms that looked like no one lived in them. Everything perfect, everything cold, everything expensive and empty. The dining room was worse. A table that could seat 20, set for 2 at opposite ends. Crystal, silver, candles, and at the far end, a woman. She was maybe mid-40s, blonde hair pulled back severe, wearing a white evening gown that probably cost more than his truck. Beautiful in the way ice sculptures are beautiful, flawless, untouchable, frozen. She looked up as he entered. Her expression didn't change. "You're late," she said. Her voice was cold, controlled. 3 minutes. The contract specifies punctuality. "I'm sorry, the mountain roads—" "Sit." He sat. At the opposite end of the table, 20 feet between them, an ocean of polished wood and uncomfortable silence. "I'm Corinne Ashfield," the woman said. Not warm, not welcoming, just factual. "You've signed the NDA. You understand the terms. 6 hours, midnight. You will engage in conversation if I initiate it. You will not ask personal questions. You will not touch me. You will not leave this room unless I dismiss you. Breach of contract results in legal action and forfeiture of payment. Are we clear?" "Yes," Evan said, and thought, what the hell have I gotten myself into? Subscribe to Becca's Stories. Our mission is to inspire your life and brighten your day through powerful narratives of transformation and human resilience. Dinner was served by silent staff who appeared and disappeared like ghosts. Course after course of food Evan couldn't name, didn't know how to eat properly, felt guilty wasting when his kids were eating mac and cheese at his mother's house. Corinne ate mechanically, didn't look at him, didn't speak. The silence was suffocating. Evan tried. "This is a beautiful home." "That's commentary, not conversation. Contract specifies conversational engagement only when initiated by me." "Right, sorry." More silence. The clock on the wall ticked. 7:15. 4 hours and 45 minutes to go. "Why did you accept this job?" Corinne asked suddenly. Evan looked up. "I thought personal questions were against the contract." "I'm asking about motivation, not personal history. Answer." "Money," Evan said honestly. "I needed the money." "Obviously, but why this job? Why agree to spend Christmas Eve with a stranger?" "Because I'm desperate. Because my kids deserve better than what I can give them. Because I'm failing as a father and this is the only way I know to fix it." "Because $5,000 solves a lot of problems," Evan said instead. "And 6 hours isn't that long. I've worked worse jobs for less money." Corinne studied him. "You have children. How did you—" "Your application profile. Age, employment history, family status. I review all contractors before hiring. You're 38, divorced, 2 children, freelance handyman, inconsistent income, judgment liens, eviction proceedings initiated." She said it like she was reading a grocery list. Facts without emotion. Evan felt his face flush. "Then you know why I said yes." "I know why you needed money. I'm asking why you were willing to sell your presence, your time, your humanity for cash on Christmas Eve. There's a difference." "Is there?" Evan shot back. "You're buying, I'm selling. That's just economics. You needed something, I had it, we made a deal. What's the difference?" "The difference," Corinne said coldly, "is that I'm aware of what I'm doing. Are you?" Before Evan could respond, his phone buzzed, loud in the silence. He pulled it out instinctively, saw the name, Maya, video call. "Contract prohibits phone use during—" Corinne started. "It's my daughter," Evan interrupted, standing. "It's Christmas Eve. She's 7. I'm answering. Sue me if you want, but I'm answering." He walked to the hallway before Corinne could respond, accepted the call, and Maya's face filled the screen, bright, happy, wearing red pajamas, Christmas tree lights behind her. "Daddy, Merry Christmas! Look, Grandma made cookies shaped like reindeer, and Lucas, show Daddy the tree." Lucas's face appeared, smiling, gap-toothed, holding an ornament.
We made this one, Daddy. It has our handprints, see? Evan's throat tightened. I see, buddy. It's beautiful. Are you guys having fun? Yes, but we miss you. Maya's voice turned sad. When are you coming home? Soon, sweetheart. Daddy's working so Santa can come, but I'll call you before bed, I promise. I love you both so, so much. We love you too, Daddy. Merry Christmas. The call ended. Evan stood in the hallway, staring at the blank screen, trying to compose himself before going back. He didn't realize Corinne had followed him until she spoke. Your children, they're with your mother? Evan turned. She was standing in the doorway, expression unreadable. Yeah, my mom, my sisters, cousins, they're having a good Christmas. Better than I could give them here. Why here? Because I don't have a house that looks like this, Evan said, gesturing around. I have a 2-bedroom apartment with an eviction notice on the counter. They don't need to see that on Christmas. Corinne was quiet for a long moment. Then, they look happy. In the video, they were laughing. They are happy. They're kids. They're with people who love them. That's all they need. Love, Corinne repeated, like the word was foreign. You think that's all they need? I think it's the most important thing. Everything else, money, houses, stuff, that's just logistics. But love, that's what matters. And yeah, right now, logistics are kicking my ass, but my kids know they're loved. So yeah, they're happy, even if I'm broke. He walked past her, back to the dining room, sat down, waited. Corinne followed slowly, sat, stared at her plate. You're very certain about that, about love being enough. I have to be, because it's all I've got.
The next course came. Evan didn't touch it, neither did Corinne. You were watching, Evan said. Not a question. When I took the call, you saw them. I saw the reflection in the window, Corinne admitted. Your children, they looked happy, genuinely happy. That's rare. Happy's not rare. Happy's normal when you have people who love you. Is it? Corinne's voice was bitter. Because from where I'm sitting, happy looks pretty damn rare. Most people are faking it, pretending, going through motions. But your children, they weren't pretending. Neither were you. That was real. Of course it was real. They're my kids. Why would I pretend with them? Because most people do, Corinne said. Most people perform, even with family, especially with family, trying to be what others need instead of what they are. But you weren't performing. You were just present. That's something money can't buy. Evan laughed, bitter. Yeah? Tell that to the landlord. Tell that to the electric company. Tell that to my kids when they ask why we can't afford the things their friends have. Love's great, but it doesn't pay bills. It doesn't put food on the table. It doesn't keep the lights on. So yeah, it's real, but it's not enough. That's why I'm here, selling my presence to someone who can afford to buy it, because real doesn't pay rent. Corinne flinched like he'd hit her. That's not what I meant. Isn't it? You hired me, $5,000, to sit here and keep you company, because you can afford to buy what you can't, earn, build, ask for? Careful, Corinne said, voice dangerous. You're very close to breaching contract. What part? Evan challenged. The part where I'm not allowed to ask personal questions? You started this. You asked me why I accepted this job. You commented on my kids. You opened the door, so I'm walking through it. Why did you post this job? What kind of person pays $5,000 for company on Christmas Eve? The kind who can afford it. The kind who knows exactly what they want and how to get it. The kind who doesn't apologize for having resources. That's not an answer, Evan pressed. That's deflection. Try again. Why am I here, really? Corinne stood up abruptly. You're here because I hired you. That's all you need to know. Now sit, eat, fulfill your contract, or leave and forfeit payment. Your choice. She walked out, left Evan sitting alone at the enormous table in the enormous room in the enormous house that felt like a mausoleum. He sat there for 10 minutes, 15, thinking about Maya and Lucas, about his mother's warning, about $5,000 that suddenly felt dirty. Then he stood, walked through the house, found Corinne in the library, sitting in a chair by a window, staring out at the dark mountains. I'm going to breach the contract now, so you can sue me or whatever, but I'm saying it anyway. Why did you hire someone for Christmas dinner if you wanted to be alone? Corinne didn't turn. Because I can't be alone on Christmas Eve, but I can't be with people either, so I hire presence, controlled, contractual. It keeps me from breaking, and it keeps me safe. Safe from what? From caring, Corinne said quietly. From letting anyone in, from being vulnerable. Staff I can fire, contractors I can pay, lawyers I can control, but people I care about, they can hurt me, they can leave. They can die and take everything with them and leave me here in this house that's worth millions and feels like a tomb. She turned. Her face was wet. She'd been crying. The ice sculpture had melted. My husband died 4 years ago, Christmas Eve. We were decorating the tree. He collapsed. Heart attack. Massive. Fatal. I called 911, did CPR, begged him to stay. He was gone before the ambulance got here. I was alone with his body for 17 minutes. 17 minutes of knowing he was dead but not wanting to stop trying because stopping meant accepting, and I couldn't accept. And every Christmas since, I can't be alone that night. The memories, they're too loud. But I can't be with people who knew him either because they look at me with pity or they try to fix me. Or they tell me time heals and it gets better and he'd want me to move on, and all the things people say when they have no idea what they're talking about.
She wiped her face angrily. So I hire, I control, I create situations where I'm technically not alone but emotionally protected. No one can hurt me if they're contractually obligated to leave at midnight. No one can pity me if they don't know me. It's survival. It's the only way I know how to get through this night. Every year, and you're just one more contractor, one more person I'm paying to keep the silence from killing me. That's why you're here. Evan stood there, processing, then slowly walked into the room, sat in the chair across from her. I'm sorry, he said. That's unbearable. I can't imagine. I'm really, really sorry. Don't. Corinne said sharply. Don't pity me. Don't tell me it gets better. I'm not, Evan interrupted. I'm just saying I'm sorry that happened, that you went through that you're still going through it. That's all. No pity, no advice, just acknowledgement. That's awful, and I'm sorry. Corinne stared at him, like she was trying to figure out if he was lying. Then, thank you. They sat in silence. Not uncomfortable, just present. Can I tell you something? Evan asked after a while. You're going to anyway. I'm here because I'm broke. 3 months behind on rent, utilities getting shut off. My kids asked if Santa was coming, and I didn't know how to answer because I couldn't afford presents. So when this job showed up, $5,000 for 6 hours, I didn't think. I just accepted. Because that's survival too. Different kind, different desperation, but same basic math. Do whatever it takes to not drown. You buy presents because you can't face being alone. I sell mine because I can't face my kids being homeless. We're both just doing whatever we can to survive. Different currency, same desperation. That's, Corinne stopped, seemed to consider. That's honest. Yeah. Because you were honest first. Seemed fair. I hired you, Corinne said slowly, because I thought if I paid enough, I could control the experience, control the interaction, control the pain. But watching you on that phone with your children, I saw something I can't buy. Connection. Real connection. They love you. Not because you have money or power or resources, just because you're their father. And you love them, genuinely. I could see it in your face, the way you looked at them on that screen. That's something I haven't felt in 4 years, not since James died. And I realized I can buy your time, but I can't buy what you have. That kind of love, that kind of presence, real presence, not contractual presence, the kind that shows up because it wants to, not because it's being paid. And her voice broke. That's what I actually need, and it's the one thing money can't buy. Evan felt his chest tighten. You're right, money can't buy that. But here's the thing, you don't have to buy it. You just have to let it happen. Let people in. Risk the pain. Risk the hurt. Risk the vulnerability. Because yeah, my kids love me, and yeah, that's real. But it's also terrifying, because I could fail them. I am failing them in a lot of ways, and that kills me. But I don't get to stop being their father just because it's hard. I don't get to opt out. And neither do you. Neither do I what? Get to opt out of being human. You lost your husband. That's devastating. But you're still alive. And as long as you're alive, you have to keep trying, keep connecting, keep risking. Not because it's safe, but because it's the only thing that actually matters. Corinne laughed, bitter, broken. Easy for you to say. You have people, your kids, your mother. I saw them. You're not alone. I am, truly, actually alone. There's no one who would call me on Christmas Eve just to say Merry Christmas. No one who loves me just because I exist. I have employees, business partners, acquaintances. But people, real people who care? No, I have no one. So don't tell me to keep trying when you have no idea what it's like to have absolutely nobody. You're right, Evan said. I don't know what that's like, but I do know what it's like to feel like you're failing everyone you care about, to feel like you're not enough, to feel like the world is crushing you and you can't breathe, and you can't stop, and you can't ask for help, because asking for help means admitting you're weak. And I know that pretending you're okay when you're not is its own kind of loneliness. Different, but just as painful. So no, I don't know exactly what you're going through, but I know loneliness, and I know fear, and I know desperation. And I'm telling you, buying people doesn't fix it. It just delays it. At some point, you have to risk real connection, or you're not surviving. You're just existing. Expensively, but emptily.
It was 11:43 p.m., 17 minutes until midnight, until the contract ended, until Evan could leave with his $5,000 and never see this woman again. He stood. I should go. Contract's almost up. You don't have to pay me if you don't want. This wasn't what either of us signed up for. So if you want to cancel, no, Corinne said quickly. I'll pay. Contract's a contract. You fulfilled your part. I'll transfer the money now. She pulled out her phone. Tapped. Done. Check your account. It's there. Evan checked. $5,000. Posted. Real. He should have felt relieved, grateful, victorious. But instead, he just felt sad. Thank you, he said. This will help. A lot. I mean it. Thank you. You're welcome, Corinne said. Formal, distant, the ice rebuilding. Evan walked to the door, stopped, turned back. Can I say one more thing? You're going to anyway. Nobody should spend Christmas alone. Grief or not, money or not, contract or not. Nobody. So I'm going to offer something. Free. No contract, no payment, no strings. I'll stay. Not because you hired me, not because I need the money, you already paid me. Just because it's Christmas, and you shouldn't be alone. If you want me to leave, I'll leave. But if you want company, real company, not contractual company, I'll stay. Your choice. Corinne stared at him. Why? Why would you do that? You don't know me. You don't owe me anything. You have your money. You could go home to your kids. Why would you stay? Because 6 hours ago, you were a paycheck, a job, a means to an end. But now you're a person who's been grieving alone for 4 years, a person who's in so much pain she's willing to pay strangers to keep her company because she can't face being alone with her memories. And that's not okay. That's not something I can just walk away from and pretend I didn't see. So I'm offering. Stay or go. But the offer's real. No contract. Just humanity. The kind you can't buy. The kind that shows up because it wants to. Corinne stood abruptly, walked to the window, stared out at the dark mountains. When she spoke, Her voice was barely audible. I don't know how to do this. Accept kindness. Let people in. I've spent 4 years building walls, controlling everything, paying for presence instead of risking connection. And you're offering something I didn't hire you for, something I didn't pay for, something I don't know how to accept, because if I accept, I have to admit I need it. I need help. I need people. I need to stop hiding behind contracts and money and control. And that's terrifying. I know, Evan said gently. But here's the thing. I'm not asking you to tear down all the walls tonight. I'm not asking you to fix everything or heal completely or suddenly be okay. I'm just asking, do you want company? Real company. For a few more hours. No pressure, no expectations. Just 2 people who are both struggling, spending Christmas together so neither of us has to be alone. That's it. You don't have to let me in all the way. You don't have to trust me completely. You just have to say yes or no. Stay or go. Your choice. Corinne turned, tears streaming down her face, the ice completely melted now. Just a woman. Broken. Lonely. Human. Stay, she whispered. Please, if you're willing. I don't want to be alone. Not tonight. Not anymore. Okay, Evan said simply. Then I'll stay. Evan woke up on the couch at 6:47 a.m. on Christmas morning. Corinne had given him a blanket, a pillow, insisted he sleep. She'd taken the guest room. He could smell coffee. Got up, stretched, followed the scent to the kitchen. Found Corinne standing at the counter, making coffee. Actually making it herself, not having staff do it, just doing it. Good morning, she said when she saw him. Coffee? Yeah, thanks. Merry Christmas. She paused. Merry Christmas. That's the first time I've said that and meant it in 4 years. They sat at the kitchen table, not the formal dining room, just the kitchen, like normal people, drinking coffee, watching the sunrise over the mountains. Thank you, Corinne said after a while, for staying, for not leaving when I gave you the chance. I needed that, more than I realized. You're welcome, Evan said. Can I ask, how do you feel today, this morning? Tired, Corinne admitted, but less alone, which is something. It's not everything, it's not healed, but it's better than yesterday. So, progress. Evan's phone rang. Maya. He looked at Corinne. Can I? Please, she said. Answer it. I'd like to hear them, if that's okay. Evan answered. Video call. Maya and Lucas on screen, pajamas, tree, presents, chaos. Daddy, Merry Christmas! Santa came. He brought the dollhouse I wanted and Lucas got Legos and that's wonderful, baby. I'm so happy. Hey, can you guys say Merry Christmas to someone? This is my friend Miss Corinne. She's here with me. Corinne leaned into the frame, waved, smiled, a real smile. Hi, Maya and Lucas. Merry Christmas. Your daddy's told me so much about you. You're both so lucky to have him. We know, Lucas said proudly. He's the best daddy ever. He really is, Corinne agreed, her voice thick. After the call ended, Corinne wiped her eyes. Thank you for for sharing them, even for a moment. That was beautiful. They liked you, Evan observed. Kids are good judges of character. If they liked you, you're good people. I don't know about that, Corinne said, but I know I want to be. Better people, less frozen, less controlled, less alone. And I think maybe you showed me how, not by fixing me, but by just being honest, being present, being willing to stay when you didn't have to. That's what real connection looks like. And I forgot. But I want to remember. I want to try. Then try. Start small. Today. Tomorrow. Next week. Just keep trying. Corinne took a breath. I want to offer you something, and I need you to hear me clearly. This is not charity. This is not pity. This is business. Real business. My company, the hospitality empire I run, we need contractors, skilled workers for maintenance, repairs, renovations across all our properties. Steady work, good pay, benefits, health insurance, stable income. I'm offering you a position, not because I feel sorry for you, not because you stayed Christmas Eve, but because you're skilled, reliable, and you showed up when I needed someone. That's the kind of person I want working for me. So, are you interested?" Evan stared at her. That's incredibly generous, but I need to know, is this because you actually need contractors or because you feel guilty about both? Corinne interrupted. I actually need contractors. My properties require constant maintenance. That's real. But also, yes, because you reminded me that people matter more than contracts, that humanity matters more than control, and I want to build a company that remembers that. So, both. Does that work? Evan felt something in his chest loosen. Yeah, that works. Thank you. Really, thank you. You're welcome. Start in January. I'll have my HR contact you with details. But Evan, this is a real job. You'll work. You'll be held accountable. This isn't a handout. It's an opportunity. What you do with it is up to you. I understand. And I won't let you down. I promise. Corinne smiled. I know you won't. There was a pause. Then Corinne said carefully, I should also say, I'm not ready for anything beyond friendship, if that. I don't want you to think this job offer comes with expectations of anything else. I'm not there yet. Maybe never will be. But I'd like to have a friend, if you're willing. Someone who knows, who was there, who understands. Friends works for me, Evan said honestly. I'm not looking for anything else either. I'm barely keeping my head above water as it is. Adding romance to that would be a disaster. But friends? Yeah, I can do friends. My kids would probably like having an Aunt Corinne who lives in a mansion. Corinne laughed. Actually laughed. Aunt Corinne. I like that. Tell them Aunt Corinne wants to meet them. When you're ready. When it makes sense. No pressure. Just, I'd like to meet the kids who taught their father to show up. They sound remarkable. They are, Evan agreed. They really are.
6 months later, Evan stood in the community center downtown, surrounded by families. Single parents, working parents, struggling parents. People who understood what it meant to choose between rent and Christmas, between utilities and presents, between work and being present for your kids. On stage, Corinne was speaking, not as a CEO, just as a person. 6 months ago, I spent Christmas Eve alone, by choice, by design, because I was so scared of being hurt, of being vulnerable, of needing people, that I'd convinced myself isolation was strength. And a man, a contractor I'd hired to keep me company for 6 hours, looked at me and said, nobody should spend Christmas alone. And he stayed, not because I paid him, not because he had to, but because it was the human thing to do. She gestured to Evan, who was sitting in the front row with Maya and Lucas. That man is Evan Torres, single father, freelance contractor, someone who was struggling so much he accepted a job he didn't understand just to pay rent. And he taught me something I'd forgotten, that humanity matters more than money, that connection matters more than control, that showing up matters more than protecting yourself. And I wanted to honor that lesson. So today, I'm announcing the Nobody Buys Christmas Initiative. The screen behind her lit up. Nobody Buys Christmas Initiative. Emergency financial assistance for working parents during holidays. Free childcare services Christmas Eve/day for parents who must work. Community support network. No one celebrates alone. No contracts, no repayment, no strings. Just help when people need it. This program will serve 10,000 families in our first year, Corinne continued, funded entirely by my company, because I learned that the best investment isn't in stocks or properties or assets, it's in people, in communities, in making sure that parents like Evan don't have to choose between working Christmas Eve or spending time with their kids. That's what matters. That's what success actually looks like.
6 months later, Evan stood in the community center downtown, surrounded by families. Single parents, working parents, struggling parents. People who understood what it meant to choose between rent and Christmas, between utilities and presents, between work and being present for your kids. On stage, Corinne was speaking, not as a CEO, just as a person. 6 months ago, I spent Christmas Eve alone, by choice, by design, because I was so scared of being hurt, of being vulnerable, of needing people, that I'd convinced myself isolation was strength. And a man, a contractor I'd hired to keep me company for 6 hours, looked at me and said, "Nobody should spend Christmas alone." And he stayed, not because I paid him, not because he had to, but because it was the human thing to do. She gestured to Evan, who was sitting in the front row with Maya and Lucas. That man is Evan Torres, single father, freelance contractor, someone who was struggling so much he accepted a job he didn't understand just to pay rent. And he taught me something I'd forgotten, that humanity matters more than money, that connection matters more than control, that showing up matters more than protecting yourself. And I wanted to honor that lesson. So today, I'm announcing the Nobody Buys Christmas Initiative. The screen behind her lit up. Nobody Buys Christmas Initiative. Emergency financial assistance for working parents during holidays. Free childcare services Christmas Eve and day for parents who must work. Community support network. No one celebrates alone. No contracts, no repayment, no strings. Just help when people need it. This program will serve 10,000 families in our first year, Corinne continued, funded entirely by my company, because I learned that the best investment isn't in stocks or properties or assets. It's in people, in communities, in making sure that parents like Evan don't have to choose between working Christmas Eve or spending time with their kids. That's what matters. That's what success actually looks like.
The room erupted in applause. Evan felt tears on his face, watched his kids clapping, excited, not fully understanding but feeling the importance. After the announcement, families swarmed Corinne, thanking her, hugging her, crying. She looked overwhelmed, but present, really present, not hiding behind contracts or control or ice, just there. Later, when things had calmed down, Corinne found Evan outside, watching Maya and Lucas play with other kids. "Thank you," she said, "for staying that night, for not letting me hide, for showing me what actually matters. This program, it exists because of you, because you taught me that money is just money, but people are everything." "You did the work," Evan replied. I just stayed for coffee. You're the one who turned that into this. That's all you." "No," Corinne said firmly. "That's us. You showed me the problem. I provided resources, but we built this together. That's partnership, real partnership. The kind where two people make each other better, where neither person is rescuing the other, just two people showing up and figuring it out together. That's what this is." Maya ran over, breathless. "Daddy, can we invite Aunt Corinne to Christmas this year, please? She should have Christmas with us." Evan looked at Corinne. "What do you think? Chaotic, loud, messy, kids everywhere, my mom's cooking, my sisters arguing, nothing fancy, nothing controlled, just family." Corinne's eyes filled. "I'd love that. Really, I'd love that so much." Then it settled. Christmas. Our place. Bring nothing except yourself. That's all we need. "Deal," Corinne said. They stood together, watching the kids play, watching families connect, watching a community form from need and kindness and the simple act of showing up. "You know what's funny?" Evan said. 6 months ago, I thought $5,000 would solve everything, would fix my life, make everything okay. And it did help, a lot. But this," he gestured around, "this is what actually fixed things. Not the money, the connection, the friendship, the community. The reminder that we're not supposed to do this alone. Any of us. That's what matters. That's what actually changes things." "Funny how that works," Corinne agreed. I spent 4 years trying to buy my way out of loneliness, paying for presents, controlling everything, and none of it worked. But one person, one honest, stubborn person who refused to let me hide, that changed everything. Not because you fixed me, but because you showed up. That's all it took. Someone showing up. Then let's keep showing up. For each other, for these families, for everyone who needs it. That's how we change things. Not with money, not with contracts, just with presence. Real presence. The kind you can't buy. The kind that only works when it's freely given. Deal, Corinne said. And this time, when she smiled, there was no ice. No walls, no control. Just a woman who'd learned that the most valuable thing in the world was something money couldn't buy. Someone who stays when they don't have to. Someone who shows up. Someone who sees you, really sees you, and doesn't run. That Christmas, Corinne Ashfield sat at Evan's mother's table, surrounded by chaos and noise and children and love, and for the first time in 4 years, she felt like she was home. Not because of the place, but because of the people. Because she'd finally learned you can't buy belonging. You can't contract connection. You can't purchase love. You can only accept it when it's offered, freely, by people who show up. And that is the only thing worth having.
If this story reminded you of a moment when you chose action over comfort, or when someone built a ramp for you when the world only gave you stairs, share it in the comments. Let's inspire each other. And if this message resonated with you, type this in the comments. Action speaks louder than permission. Subscribe for powerful daily narratives of transformation and human resilience. Where are you watching from? I'd love to know where you're watching us from. Drop your city in the comments. Our mission is to inspire your life and brighten your day through powerful narratives of transformation and human resilience. Until the next story.